Hey everybody, it's Silver Seeker, and what I'd love to do with you guys today is go through some of the comments of one of my most recent videos. Now, the reason I'm picking this video is because I gave an opinion, and as goes with anything that's opinion related, there are always going to be people that disagree. So this video right here is the one I'm talking about. It was about why silver dropping isn't necessarily a bad thing. And the majority of people that watched that video that left a comment agreed with me. But there were some that didn't, and they certainly voiced their opinions very strongly, and that's totally fine because I choose not to live in an echo chamber. I choose to read and listen to comments that disagree with my own opinion, that is. And, these guys right here, they definitely left some opinions. I replied to a few of them, but what I thought we would do is read them here in this video and then go over them together, and I will argue, against what they were saying. If I disagree with it, we'll go from there. So that's what we're going to do. But really quick, guys, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to go down below and subscribe. It's 100% free, and it really, really helps me out, so I appreciate it. And with that said, let's get into the video. Okay, so I already have the comments picked out and ready to go, and I have read them, just full disclosure. I've already read these comments, but we're going to read them again to you guys, and then we're going to respond. So here we go. First one, this one comes from Clark Hewitt. He says, I'm sorry to say, but precious metals are not a safe haven, nor is it a hedge against inflation. I am so sick and tired, and this is where I say people have very strong opinions, and that's fine. I am so sick and tired of hearing that terminology thrown around. If you've done some research on precious metals, especially gold, over the last decade, you will see that it has lost 44% of its purchasing power over the last 10 years. That is incorrect, and we will get into that in just a minute. Precious metals have been very flat going on a few months now and doing nothing, nor will it do anything in the future. It might retain some of the wealth that you have now, but everything is becoming digital and everything will be put on the blockchain. It's imperative that people own Bitcoin and other stable coins such as Ethereum because that is the only real safe haven that is protected and will be decentralized pretty much forever. I wish more and more precious metal stackers would educate themselves and see the light at the end of the tunnel. Not only will you continue to lose money by investing in precious metals, but it is also not going to be very productive for you in the future. Wow. So there's a couple of things in here that I just strongly disagree with, and there was actually something that was said that was 100% incorrect. He said that gold has lost 44% of its purchasing power in 10 years. So 10 years ago was 2011. That puts gold spot at like 1950 or so. I think that's what it peaked back then. Gold is sitting at 1723.20 right now. I mean, you can see that ticker is live as I record this. Obviously, it's not live as you're watching it. So that is far from 44% down. Even if you adjust for inflation for over the 10 years for that difference, it's nowhere close to 44%. So I have no idea what he's talking about there. And he is correct. It has been flat for the last few months. There's no arguing there. But to say that it's not a safe haven or a hedge is just incorrect. Gold has a history of, millennia, well before any of the countries that are currently a country were even thought of. I mean, we're talking thousands of years. Gold and silver has been used as a currency, as a trade for goods and services. We've talked about this in previous videos. Using the last 10 years as a way to try and discredit that is just insane. That's 10 years. Come on, give me a break. Silver and gold, by the way, have maintained their value all the way back decades just in the US alone. I mean, silver coins from the 60s buy more today than they bought back in the 60s, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. But it's very clear that Clark is a crypto guy, and that's fine, but you can't take something like crypto with only 11 years of full history. It started in, 2010 Bitcoin came out, and it really hasn't been mainstream for, 5 or 6 years? I mean, that's like going back to the 90s and saying, you guys better get out of gold and silver and buy Beanie Babies, because gold and silver are nothing and Beanie Babies is where your money's going to be. There's always going to be a Fed. There's always going to be something that comes along that people think they can get rich on. Now, I'm not arguing that the blockchain is a bad technology. I think it's great. And to be honest with you, I do have a little bit of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies like Cardano, just in case I'm wrong. But I have very little faith in a technology that's been around for about 10 years and not even mainstream for that long. In putting all of my future wealth, into that as a preservation, especially when you see cryptocurrencies take massive swings up and down, way beyond what gold and silver have done. I mean, Bitcoin went from 60,000 to 30,000 in like a month not long ago. give me a break. If you want to talk about losing 44% of your wealth, Clark, I appreciate what you said. I disagree with you wholeheartedly. Cryptocurrency, if this were 40 or 50 years down the road and it were still doing what it's doing today, I'd probably be a little bit more receptive to it. But I cannot think for the life of me why I would trust something that's been around so little amount of time. It's like a bleep, even in the US's history, a bleep of time. And I would trust that with the money that I have worked for to provide for my family. It's just not something I could ever see myself doing. I appreciate it. And you probably made a lot of money on crypto, and that's great. But give me a break, man. Literally something that's not even been mainstream for a decade, and you're comparing it to gold and silver. I just give it more time. That's all I'm saying. But again, I have crypto in case I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Bitcoin goes to $1 million and I'll be thrilled. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'll sell if it gets to $1 million. I'll sell what I have and then put it into gold and silver. All right, next up. Okay, guys, our second comment comes from Silverholic. He says, I hate to see price drops. It goes against my reason to purchase precious metals, which is wealth preservation. I did purchase more today, so a small discount on the purchase, but obviously, in real terms, I lost 3% on the value of my stack and saved like $30 on today's purchase, so the two are far from being equal, and then a frowny face. Silverholic, I'm sorry you feel that way. What I like to tell people is if you're investing in silver first, you need to be investing for fundamental reasons. In other words, with money that you have extra that you're not going to be using anytime soon, that you can put aside and not worry about for the near future, or even somewhat the longer term future if you can. In other words, don't take money out of your savings account that's there for a rainy day, for if there's a medical emergency, or if your car breaks down or whatever. Don't use that money. Use money that's extra in abundance of that. Rather than go out and eat a steak dinner, buy a couple ounces of silver. That's kind of what I like to do with that. And I'm not saying I don't go out and eat steak dinners, but I could eat less and buy more silver is my point. But when I look at my stack, I look at how many ounces I have. I don't look at how much the silver is worth in US dollars. Once it's in silver, I look at it as silver. I don't look at it as value in US dollars anymore. I do look at the spot price, of course, but that's generally just to buy and sell because, as you guys know, I do sell a little bit of silver on my website. But generally, the silver that I have in my own stack that's, put away for the future is put there in ounces. It's not put there in dollars. I hope that makes sense. That's at least how I look at it. Now, not everyone's going to be able to wrap their head around it like that, and that's fine. And to be honest with you, it took me a while to do it as well. But that's how I look at it now. So I'm sorry it feels that way, man, but I would tell you this, don't really worry about it too much because I don't think silver's a bad investment. In fact, right now, personally, I think it's a good time to buy. I might put some more into it. So anyway, thanks for the comment. You rock, man. And let's get on to the next one. Okay, well, this one comes from Jeff Green. He says, you sound like the type of person who will watch silver go up to $150 to $200 and then back down to $20 and end up holding it forever and never selling it. Don't believe the hype. The dollar is the world's reserve currency, so hyperinflation cannot happen here. That is incorrect. Well, the second part, not the first part. And silver isn't going to 1,000. Well, I agree with there. I don't think silver is going to 1,000 anytime in my lifetime, unless there's a situation which I'll talk about after I finish your comment. This ain't Weimar Germany. My advice is to study the historical silver charts and come up with a reasonable sell price. Silver goes up fast, but comes back down just as fast. With bullion, you want to sell it all right before the peak. Dealers won't buy it back after the peak when silver isn't a free fall. So Jeff, you said a couple of things here that are kind of incorrect. For first one, for example, it says dealers won't buy it back after the peak when silver isn't a free fall. That is incorrect. They may buy it for less. In other words, they would buy it closer to spot or even under spot, but they'll still buy it. And I know that for a fact because I've been there multiple times during free falls in silver where I'm buying and selling a little bit even with shops, and they do absolutely buy it. I could call shops right now and they would confirm that. There's no dealer going to turn down silver. They just may buy it a little bit weaker because they think it might fall further. But when you say you sound like the person that will watch silver go up to 150 to 200 and back down to 20, the way I believe in silver, if silver got to 150 to 200, we are going to be in a financial crisis that makes having silver worth way more than having a US dollar. So you're probably correct, but not because I'd rather have silver than an ounce of silver than $200, but because at the time, if silver gets to that point, I don't think the dollar is going to be where you're going to be because it probably won't be because silver is worth $200 in today's dollars. I've done a video on this. It'd probably be because the dollar is worth so much less that silver just naturally is worth that much. Whenever you look at silver going down, you can even look at Kitco's chart. They tell you how much or up, by the way, they tell you how much the silver price changed because of, regular trading on the market, and how much it changed just because of the value of the dollar changing. And that is a real thing. So if our dollar crashes and it goes to 150 to 200, then yeah, you're probably right. I won't want to sell my silver for dollars because I won't want dollars. So in the next part, you said, don't believe the hype. The dollar is the world's reserve currency, so hyperinflation cannot happen here. That is incorrect. I mean, yes, the dollar is the world's reserve currency, but it's only been the world's reserve currency since Bretton Woods, which was what, 1944, 1943, 40, somewhere in there. It hasn't been very long. It's been like 60 some odd years. That's it. Now remember, when the dollar became the world's reserve currency, the dollar was backed by gold and silver, which it is not today. So back then, for the US to create a dollar, they had to have a dollar's worth of gold or silver to back that dollar. Today, they do not. And as a result, we have printed trillions of dollars that have absolutely no backing. That's what a fiat currency is. A fiat currency, look up the definition, is literally a currency that is not backed by a commodity. So it is no longer backed by gold and silver. So yeah, it absolutely could change. There's nothing here saying that we have to remain the world's reserve currency. And if our government continues to print dollars into oblivion, I could see that changing, and I could see it changing very quickly. So don't look at it like, oh, it can't happen here. Oh, it can. It absolutely can. Will it? I hope not. I don't want it to. But I'm not going to sit back and put blinders on and just act like everything's fine while sitting in the middle of a fire. All right, so next comment. This one is from Mary Carter. She says, don't put it in your safety deposit box in the bank. There may be a bill in the banks where they take all your money in your safety deposit box. So this one will be really quick. Mary, I don't put my gold and silver in safety deposit boxes. I agree with you 100%. I just, when I said that in that video, it's just because there are some people that do, and I'm not going to deny. I'm just telling them to put it wherever they store it is what I'm saying. So no sweat there, Mary. Don't worry about it. And yes, guys, just to Mary's point, I don't recommend storing your gold and silver in a safety deposit box. I just don't. All right, next up. So Jamie Smith says, when the spot price drops, the premium goes up because demand goes up. The premium is the second half of the equation, acting as a buffer to average out the total cost. So if the premium represents demand, what does the spot represent? Well, I mean, both of those kind of represent demand, or they're at least supposed to. As we all know, on a technical term, spot is just what it trades for on the COMEX, and that is fueled by demand, and the premium is also fueled by demand in physical form. That being said, I haven't actually seen any premium increases with the spot price dropping recently, so maybe I'm wrong, but I've looked on a lot of the websites and I've compared to my past notes, and the premiums look to be holding still or actually dropping even a little bit as the spot price goes down. And the reason for that is there is actually, and it's true, whether or not you want to hear it, whether or not you want to believe what I'm about to tell you, there is a lower demand for silver than there was a few months ago, physical silver, that is. And as a result, you are starting to see premiums come down, which I think is good for everybody, because I don't think premiums should have been where they were in the first place. All that was fueled by, the Wall Street silver guys and the silver squeeze, which is way over. No one's denying that anymore. And premiums are finally starting to return to normal, which means people can now invest in physical silver where they should be able to, instead of what it had been since February of this year. So I'm actually glad to see the premiums and the spot coming down for those that are still trying to invest in silver, because that's good for everyone that wants to be in this. All right, so next up, Bob Sacamano says, we need the economy to collapse. If you don't own a home where I live, you are screwed. Unless you happen to have a high income with $200K, you aren't going to get a house. Rent keeps going up and forcing people on the street. A job at McDonald's isn't going to even cover the cost of the room. So, Bob, I would say there are ways that our government can attempt to fix this problem. What they're doing right now is clearly not doing it, but I think the economy collapsing is even worse, because you'll see more people on the street, more people screwed, as you like to put it. And I disagree with you 100%. The economy doesn't need to collapse. It needs to get stronger so we can take care of the people that are in a less than desirable position right now, those that are less fortunate. And yeah, we don't want anyone living on the street. I don't want people to be forced on the street, but the fact is, if the economy collapses, it's going to be even worse than it is now. The economy does not need to collapse. It needs to get stronger so we can take care of those people that are less fortunate. All right, and then finally, guys, and this one here agrees with me, but I wanted to put it up there anyway because why not? It comes from Matt Clark. He says, been at this game for 45 years now. The highs and lows, they come and go. Remember when the control mechanism fails. That is the derivative market based on our world current reserve currency status, which I talked about earlier. All of the monetary value based on those green stamps will evaporate, at which point those that held the real money will be glad they held on to the end game. Not much I can say about that. I've actually said basically everything he said going through these comments, but I wanted to read it because, Mac, you're correct, man, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but when it does, if it does, you'll be glad that you held to the end game. That's kind of what I was saying earlier. So anyway, guys, that's my opinion. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, do me a favor. Don't forget to go down below and make sure you're subscribed. Don't forget to hit the like, leave a comment, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I did leave a video above. You can check out if you haven't seen it yet. I also want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to my awesome channel supporters scrolling right there on the right hand of the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.